Hello and welcome to another Punters Guide. And what a very special weekend we've got on both sides of the English Channel. We've got the Group 1 Sun Chariots to look forward to at Newmarket. We've got good racing at Redcar and Ascot, but of course all eyes will be on Paris Longchamp for the 100th Prix de Arc de Triomphe. Jason Weaver, as always, alongside me. And it is Europe's Premier Middle Distance contest, Jason. It's a fantastic renewal, isn't it, this year? It's a great 2 days over in France.
Yeah, it is. It does look as if we're going to have some pretty bad weather. I think it's going to be okay for the Saturday card, but as far as Sunday is concerned, and Longchamp, when it gets really bad there, I mean, someone even put up this morning, I think, were they thinking about calling the racing off? It would need to be so bad. They would just go that little bit steadier. And it does change the race a little bit, doesn't it? It always just makes it that little bit tougher. And we've got a few in there that we know absolutely love it.
It's a shame because the last couple of run-ins have been on pretty soft ground. I know this time of year we expected, but you're right. The rain that's due Saturday night and Sunday morning, it could be really attritional throughout the day on Sunday.
Yeah, think back to Snowfall's win. I mean, it was just unbelievable, wasn't it? Like she'd been literally shot out of the barrel of a gun. She went that far clear. You just don't win classics like that. And I know that they went from one side of the track to the other, but I don't think it's any sort of surprise really that that's where Ryan Moore has opted to ride her as well. Pretty light for him as well. 8 stone 9. Not sure what the allowances are and everything, but that'd be fairly light for Ryan.
It is, yeah. I mean, she's one of many with a chance. 15 set to go to post then. I mean, Charlie Appley with a strong hand, a Dayar, Hurricane, Lane, of course, Tanawa, who won the card last year, and some really interesting outsiders. Come on, what's your take on, it's the 100th Prix de Arc de Triomphe? Yeah,
Tanawa comes in with a really positive profile. It was a brilliant run over in Ireland the other day. She's trained by a master as well. My heart is sort of ruling my head because I want Adayar to be the victor. I want it to be, I don't think they've been in the winner's enclosure for the Arc 19 years ago, Marion Bad, for the boys in blue. So it certainly would be good if they got it on the board. With all that flavour that we've got for it, Chronogenesis, what's that horse going to be like if the ground comes up very soft? I'm sure they would have never encountered anything like that over in Japan. But look, Adayar would be where I'd stick. I've always had a little bit of a sweet spot for Rabihar, but she's coming into this race better than she was last year, and she was close to Sotsas. I mean, throw Sotsas into the mix here. He's got to be bang on the premises, hasn't he? And she just had a better preparation this time round than she did. So look, if there was one I was going to throw out there at a bit of a price, it probably would be her. But obviously, I want Adayar to win.
Well, that's over in France on Sunday, the Arc. But of course, we've got cracking action this Saturday as well with Group 1 action. The Sun Chariot Stakes, the feature race on the card at Newmarket. We've got the Major Stakes winner, No Speak Alexander, the 1,000 Guineas heroine, Mother Earth. Of course, the Falmouth Stakes winner, Snow Lantern, an absolute cracking renewal.
Yeah, it is an absolute belter. And you can come down. There are a few in the matron. We've got a former matron winner as well, Champs-Élysées at the top. Johnny Murtaugh can do no wrong at the moment. It was quite messy late on, wasn't it? A few horses getting chopped and checked. If you were part of those connections coming back in, I think you'd be saying we were definitely a little bit unlucky, and I'd certainly like to have another cut at the winner next time. So Mother Earth, big player. I think if you go down the bottom as well, Snow Lantern, she probably, for me, wants 1.25 miles, but she doesn't let herself at the moment. So it's a process that they're having to go through to get her there. And look, you could make a case for lots of them. However, Premio Baccio, for me, looked like a real top draw performer when she bolted up at York. She's had no luck. Have a look back at some of her runs in the Falmouth when she went over to France. It really hasn't been lucky for her out on the track. She's not over race. She's only had, the 5 starts this term. Fillies, just when the weather changes, you can catch them out a little bit. She's as good a chance in there as any, I think.
Primo Baccio Then Asheen Murphy, of course, staying over and not going over to France. Nasty incident for him as well earlier on the week, wasn't there? Fingers crossed that it looks like he's all okay, but that was some nasty incident at Salisbury.
Yeah, when they skip away and set off like that, you are just a passenger, especially when you've not got your big riding out saddle like you have at home, and your jodhpurs to stick on. You've got your breeches and they just slip on that leather. So it was very, very tough for him. And that's another thing with Primo Baccio. He will throw his leg over her for the very first time on the racetrack anyway. I'm sure he's ridden her at home.
Yeah, then. So we're Primo Baccio for Jason for Group 1 honours for Ed Walker. Could be a good day for Ed Walker as well. We're going to head over to Ascot next, Jason, because we've got some great races and a real big handicap to look forward to there as well. We're going to start with the Cumberland Lodge Stakes at 240. This is a Group 3 over 1.5 miles. We've got Hookham, and he may have just bumped into one last time around the September Stakes at Kempton in Hamish. We've got the Ebor second as well, Quickthorn. Now, that looks good form with the winner going on to Group 1 honours subsequently.
It's a great race again, isn't it? And you can, if you side with one or the other, you can make a real good case for it. Hamish has got an entry in the Long Distance Cup. So that's where they feel he is going to go. It's a little bit of a messy race, not really run at a real good gallop. So we'll see him in a better light. All the way you go down there, though, like Wells Fargo, he normally goes and pings along on the front end. So he'll be setting it up for one or two of the closers. And at this time of year, the 3-year-olds from the 4-year-olds get a £6 allowance weight for age. And that just might swing it in the way of title down the bottom for David Egan. I thought he was a real good improver last time. Look back at when he finished second or third earlier on in the season. Who was it behind? Alan Kerr. Alan Kerr's a 25 to 1 shot for the Arc tomorrow. And he gets that weight for age allowance. So I think that title is going to make them all go.
Yeah, he looks very progressive 3-year-old, doesn't he? Title there in the Cumberland Lodge. Staying at Ascot, we've got the Bengoff Stakes as well at 3:50. This is a 6-furlong contest. We've got the 1-2 from the Air Gold Cup here. Bielsa had that solo on the stand side, of course, taking on Great Ambassador, but he's £8 worse off for just a couple of lengths. Yeah,
it was a remarkable race, wasn't it? We always talk about that advantage of running up a rail, and he just was off and gone, wasn't he? Sylvester gets the leg back up for his retainer today. I mean, Summergan, what a wonderful old horse he is, but he's won on soft, but I think that he's slightly better when he can bounce off it a little bit. And Glen Shield is a real rock solid performer under these sort of conditions. But if you shy away from those and you start looking for a little bit of value in here, there's a horse called Ainsdale. Now, he went over and ran in Baden-Baden last time, and he was unlucky in 4th in a race they call the Golden Petchi, up the 6-furlong straight there, a little bit of a dog leg in it. That was pretty strong form. I'm not saying that, he's a Great Ambassador, still improving, all that, but I just feel Ainsdale is the wrong price. I think he was around 16, 20 to 1. He could get a slice of the action, I feel. Perfect conditions for him. Softer the better.
Yeah, you'll appreciate every drop of rain that falls, of course, at Ainsdale in those famous Armstrong silks. And the day's big betting race also comes at Ascot as well, Jason, and the Challenge Cup at 3:50 over the 7 furlongs. And, well, plenty of usual suspects for these straight course Ascot handicaps involved in this one.
Yeah, fascinated to see how Pierre Lapin gets on for the Ado McGuinness team, because he obviously worked like a champion all the time. There was always reports of him in Newmarket being a superstar in the morning. And he seems to have got him going forward at the right time. Al Dari will be popular. River Nymph has got a 2 from 2 record around here. The old favourite, Escobar, I thought he ran a cracker behind Kinross and possibly just didn't get the rub of the green. Again, horse in here for me who always gets overlooked in these big handicaps, but he's a solid type. He'll love the ground. He's coming back down to the right trip. And that's Kazar each way with Ross O'Ryan, a real good booking for the Hannon team. Yeah, last time he was successful was 7 furlongs. He's back down £1 below that victory. They've been stretching him out over the mile because that's the way the race is set up a lot of the time in these big handicaps. But everything looks in place for a big run.
Yeah, Kazar then for Richard Hannon. And Richard Hannon's got a good chance in the 2-year-old trophy, the feature race of the season up at Redcar as well, their 3:35 contest. He's got Symphony Perfect, of course, was second in the Super Sprint. He had Vintage Claret and Chipotle behind on that occasion, too, but bring in Royal Ascot form as well.
Yeah, there's I think the ones you mentioned, and also Last Crusader at the top of the horses to focus on here, aren't they? Symphony Perfect, although getting a good chunk of weight off the other runners, probably is going to find it a little bit tough in here off ratings wise, off a mark of just 84. Chipotle danced every single dance this season, hasn't he? You know, he's been really, really solid. And Vintage Clarets, well, if you go back to his early season form, you'd be giving him every opportunity. And he actually sits really well as far as the weights are framed for this race. I quite like the look of Last Crusader up the top. I've been on Weather Watch. Ascot, I've gone for soft ground form. That's ideal. Redcar, it's going to be good. They might get a little bit of rain later on as the day progresses. And provided that the ground stays good, Last Crusader, he bombed out really badly in France last time. But his York form is as good as any.
Well, Last Crusader. And you're right, because ground and weather watch, we laugh about weather watch, but ground conditions, it's a key component of form study, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, he put up a really good performance behind Lusail at York, not beaten 2-5. He was only having the third run of his career. He got overlooked. He went to France. He disappointed, but it was soft. You know, so, all right, we can't pigeonhole him straight away. It might have been the travelling. It might have been something else. But I'm just trying to take that out of the equation. And, yeah, he's got a bit of an upside. He's only had the 4 starts so far. So it's just one of them. Weather watch, and provided that the ground is good or better, that will suit him.
And just a quick chat on the feature race in France on the Saturday as well. Is the big stained contest, the Group 1, the Prix du Cadran. I mean, basically, the Group 1s over in France this season generally come back over the channel. This one looks likely as well. You've got Truchan. He'll appreciate every inch of rain that falls, of course, on the track for Alan King. No Holly Doyle. It's her namesake, James Doyle, in the plate because she's suspended. We've got Stradivarius as well, the superstar stayer over there for the first time in the Prix du Cadran. Last year's winner, Princess Zoe. What a story that was 12 months ago. And she's back for more for Tony Mullins. It looks in the market to rest between these 3.
Yeah, I think that'd be right. All of the others that we can see in there, even the old favourite, Call the Wind, he just seems to have lost a little bit of zip recently, but I wouldn't rule out him putting in a decent effort. Just if it was a real extreme condition, there's always horses like Stratum who go for the Willie Mullins. They've put Christian De Miro. You know, could one of those, if it was very, very heavy, but again, it's not supposed to be that bad. You've got to give Truchan every opportunity, haven't you? His ideal conditions. I was listening to Alan King talking about him the other day. He said, we haven't actually gone this far, 2.5 miles under a real test, but he looks for all the world that he will absolutely relish it. Sad for Holly. Watched that back at Kempton the other day. I didn't think it was that bad at all. And she respected the rider who was down on her inside, but she got the 7 days. And James Doyle's come in for an absolute peach on the jockey's merry-go-round.
Yeah, not a bad spare at all, is it? It's coming for the favourite for a Group 1. So that's the bulk of the racing. There's obviously plenty of other racing in front of the ITV4 cameras, which we will discuss across all Betfred channels throughout the weekend with Jason. But what would be your idea of the best bet on the card on Saturday's racing?
Well, I think if you go Saturday, I think that it's not very often you can look at a 25, 30 runner field and immediately just be drawn to one. And Fearby, with Ryan Moore on board, looks an absolute standout, doesn't he? I've had a look as well at PJ's rides at the other meeting, and he's been a little bit luckless on him so far. So Fearby, Ed Bethel's had a brilliant start to his training career, and I think that's a bit of an eye-catching booking. Could be a great afternoon for Ryan Moore before he flies over to France. But if there was one in there at a price, maybe Zoom. I saw him run at Newbury just after we went off air, and quite liked him in the prelims. And he didn't run bad. He just got a little tired late on. We know Hannon does particularly well in this type of race. And you can have 2 darts at it, can't you? Because Fearby's going to be towards the top of the market.
Yeah, then Fearby in the big sales race, of course, at Newmarket. What a weekend we've got to look forward to. The Group 1 Sun Chariot and the Group 1 Prix de Triomphe, the feature of 6 on the card at Longchamp this weekend. A fantastic weekend of action. You see Jason across ITV and Sky throughout the weekend covering all the racing. Whatever you are back in this weekend, the very best of luck.